But if all you need, like living in Japan as I am right now, sometimes you gotta use English basically just as a tool, especially when your purposes are interactional with strangers, and you need to ask directions, or you need to purchase something, or ask about a product, or whatever. And there's nothing of art in that at some levels. And as a transactional kind of language, it's yeah, you can do transactions with it, and it's that in that time, it serves a function. It's like a something to be used in the in as a kind of service item. And I was resistant to that way of thinking, and said, no, you can't use my English that way. Well, actually, most people do, and including myself. I'm not always trying to speak evocatively about how many chicken breast scallopini, deep fried and breaded, I would like, and whether I'd like it spicy or not, or cut up or not. That's jipai in Chinese. But I'm trying to be open. I'm pretty far afield, so let me get back to learning disabilities and things. So dyscalculia, as I attempted to say it before, is really, is really deep in me. I want to be more conscious, by the way, about this verbal tic. I keep saying, I noticed that as I was watching YouTube with a vastly improved automatic captioning system. Almost, I would say at least 90% of the words were completely accurate. As I was watching my new uploads for the introductory re-edit posts, re-edited posts. So I want to be more aware of that. But with numbers, I mean, numbers are meaningless to me. And that's another kind of prejudice I've always had with, I realize, things that I'm bad at, I disdain, and that's stupid of me, as per norm. So like dancing, can't do. Sports, can't do. I call them stupid. But I'm getting over that, and I apologize to sports and numbers and dancing and other things that require coordination and using your body. I've often expressed the thought that I would rather be just a brain. Downloaded Donovan's Brain yesterday, by the way, and by the way, watched Carl Reiner's opus, The Man with Two Brains. Steve Martin, the star of that, and thank God he's a little less annoying than in The Jerk. But I really enjoy that. By the way, the painter character from Sesame Street plays the servant of the scientist in that. David Warner is the scientist character. A lot more friendly than he is in most films. Always loved David Warner. Yeah, really. Fashion. The Star Trek 5. Anyway, so yeah, dyscalculia. Numbers are a void for me. They mean absolutely nothing to me. Which makes me an easy mark when it comes to selling me stuff, because they give me change. I don't know how much change it is, or how much, not even ballpark, how much approximately I should get. One of the things that has often made me feel like I might be autistic is my extreme literalism, and I take things very literally indeed. And I miss social cues, really, like vast amounts of social cues. I just, right over my head. And that gets me into trouble with people because we have misunderstandings, and that's especially dangerous. We think we understand one another, but in fact, no. So that leads to, fallings out sometimes. But I'm very literal minded in input situations where I'm hearing other people. And which is funny because, myself, I love to play with words. I love to connect ideas which are not normally associated with each other and juxtapose them and so I don't even know how to reconcile that except to say, I'm rarely in the middle. I'm either extremely metaphorical, or just droll in the way I use words, or I take it very literally. And because I've studied English a lot, and I've studied German and I've studied Spanish fairly deeply, because I wanted to know English better, so you got to know the roots if you're going to know the language. So I will very often interpret a statement and the words therein by thinking of the root words that the word they use really meant originally. I love these earrings, by the way. I hope you like them too. God, I sidetrack myself all the time here. It's very hard for me to focus. Very hard. Usually I seldom can at all, but whatever. So I think of, the original meaning of words, which, as people actually use the words nowadays, as I hate that word, but this serves its purpose, I guess. It's not at all what it doesn't mean that now. It's not used the same way anymore. I have very serious problems with short-term memory. Is another thing I learned about myself. And I imagine there are reasons for that from my life as well as other reasons. So I've got those things to deal with. I have very vivid imagination. I almost said the wrong word, thank you. When I read a novel or have a conversation, especially like a semi-role-playing type of conversation, I imagine it happening to me. It's like virtual reality without any wires or anything but my mind. I can see everything very vividly. I can see the people. I can see this, and I can remember those in my long-term memory. And for me, it is what's it called? A mediated experience for me. If someone wrote a novel and I live through the novel and I'm like almost there in the pages of the book somehow. It's an experience to me. I remember it as something that happened to me. Which could be a problem, of course, because, if you can't tell reality from fiction, then you've got problems, and I do have problems. But still. That's not my best singing. Oh, hello there. I did not see you come in. I tried Power Director, which I just found in the what do you call, Windows Store or whatever it's called. Tried it out, but it leaves a watermark, or you have to pay, and I don't pay. I don't choose to pay for many things. I bought my notation editor for music or composition, 45 books, and I'm very happy with Noteworthy Composer. I love it. Also, by the way, Synth Font by Kenneth Rundt is wonderful. Uses sound fonts which are a little archaic, but gosh, they still work. And they're still around. You can still find them. To allow myself to take a MIDI file of my own. I mean, that's how I use it. And use sound fonts to play a better quality of sound with more nuance, and I can control which tracks have different audio effects. I can choose which voice to use for each of my presets, and play it back as play it back and save it as an MP3, which for me is just the solution I need, and so I paid for that too, because I really deeply care about that stuff. I suppose, although I love video editing and I've worked on my own attempts at making quasi-movie-esque things with different camera angles and acting and costumes and everything. I guess it's a little bit less of a huge concern for me. I have, it's embarrassing to say so, but Windows Movie Maker has served me all right for most of the main simple things that I've needed. So I guess I'll go back to that, because I don't want a watermark, because it's an irritant. It even overlapped with the title cards and stuff that I used and put into my videos yesterday. And so I don't like that. Although I like the transitions and stuff. But can you imagine? It doesn't have things like fade to black or fade to white or fade in, fade out, or what's up with that? That's bizarre. If Windows Movie Maker has it, I can't see why something you need to pay for doesn't. That's whack. I'm one of those people who uses voices a lot, and I'm sure I'll do much more of that as this vlog continues. I'm very lonely, though, and also very insecure, deeply so. And gosh, it would be nice to love myself. And as an additional thing that would be nice is to have people around who accept me as I am, and I can talk with, and be vulnerable with people, afraid of nothing, to discuss or say things that normally would give me a lot of anxiety, because I trust the person and I accept them and they accept me, and it's, that would be fantastic. Have a bestie outside the family. I am, as I said, polyamorous. I love many people, and one of my main mottos in life is I love my friends. I say it often because I do. My take, which you may or may not agree with, is that friendship is a kind of love. I mean, friendship, not just idle conversation. But if you really care about someone and think of them as your friend, I think that's love. It's a form of love. Now we get into deeper waters here.